this morning, I should like to look forward to the feast that we shall be celebrating in 1 week's time. Next Sunday, the 2nd of February, will be one of the 12 great feasts in the Church's year. The Feast of the Meeting, of the Presentation of Christ in the Temple, also known as the Feast of the Purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary. In this coming feast next Sunday, we call to mind how 40 days after the birth of Christ, his mother Mary and his foster father Joseph, following the rules of the Jewish law, brought the newborn child Jesus to the temple for him to be presented to the Lord. And so that is why we keep this feast 40 days after Christmas on the 2nd of February, remembering what was done by the Mother of God with her child, our Lord Jesus Christ. She offered him back to God. Every child, newborn child, is a gift from God to his or her parents. And what should we do when we receive a gift? The best possible thing is for us to offer it back in thanksgiving to God. And that is exactly what Mary and Joseph do with the newborn child Jesus. They offer him to God. Now, if we are to understand the meaning of this feast, let us call to mind some words by a great English Christian writer, C.S. Lewis. He says, "Nothing that you have not given away will ever be truly your own. Nothing that you have not given away will ever be truly your own." Now let us ask this question. What kind of an animal is the human animal? Some people say the human animal, man, is an animal that laughs and weeps. And that is, of course, true. A sense of humor, a sense of tragedy, they are an essential part of what it is to be human. But that doesn't bring us to the heart of the matter, what it is to be a human being. A second way of describing the human being, man, is to say, as the Greek philosophers said, that man is a rational animal, a logical animal. Man is an animal who thinks, who can reason, who can argue. At the beginning of the modern era, in the early 17th century, the philosopher Descartes described the human being in exactly that way. He said, "Cogito ergo sum," I think, therefore I am. He saw thinking as the essential thing that we do as human beings. All of this is true, but it's not sufficient to define what a human being is. After all, the animals also think. If you put a banana in a cage and you have a complicated door into the cage with a curious door handle, and a monkey comes along and wants to get at the banana, he will start fiddling with the door handle, trying to open the door, turning it this way and that. And all the time he's doing something very similar to what we humans would do in that situation. He is thinking. So animals also solve problems. We might think then of a third definition of the human animal. And this again comes from the Greek philosophers. Aristotle said, the human being is a political animal. Zoon politikon. And he didn't mean political in the modern sense of a political party. He didn't mean human beings support political parties, although they do that sometimes. But he meant political in a broader sense. The human animal is created to live in a city, in Greek polis. We humans are created to be part of an organized society, to be interdependent, to relate to others. The human animal is a social animal. One of the most important things about human animals is that we love one another. So instead of saying, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, the philosopher Descartes would have done better to say, amo ergo sum, I love, therefore I am. This is exactly the point emphasized in his writings by the great Romanian theologian Dimitri Stanislawi. And he says, better still than saying, amo ergo sum, I love, therefore I am, we could put it in the passive sense, amor ergo sum, I am loved, therefore I am. As Father Stanislawi says, unless I am loved by others, I am unintelligible to myself. It is love that gives meaning to our life. We become human by loving others and in turn by accepting their love. So I think in this third definition we come much closer to the essence of what it is to be human. But I would like to suggest also a fourth definition. The human animal is a Eucharistic animal, an animal capable of gratitude, of thanksgiving, an animal that can bless God for the gifts that he or she receives. So this, I think, is the deepest meaning of our humanity, that we are capable of thanksgiving, that in gratitude we can offer the world back to God and ourselves with it. And in this act of offering, we become truly human. So let's apply that to the coming feast on the 2nd of February, next Sunday. The Blessed Virgin Mary offers her child back to God. In thanksgiving, she renders back to God the gift that she received from him. And in doing this, Christ, the newborn child, becomes her own in a way that he could never have been otherwise. Nothing that you have not given away will ever be truly your own. The Blessed Virgin Mary realizes this, and in offering Christ back to God, she knows that Christ becomes her own in a way that can never be taken from her. So let us learn from the example of the Holy Virgin. If we are to be truly human, if we are to have joy and meaning in our life, let us learn to be grateful. Let us learn to offer back to God and to offer back to our fellow humans the different gifts that we have received. Let gratitude and thanksgiving mark our lives. If you or I are not grateful or thankful, we are not truly human. We are subhuman. We are not real persons. Without gratitude, we are only pseudo-persons. But let us learn another thing from the Blessed Virgin Mary. When she offers her child back to God in the temple, the priest Simeon says to her, "A sword will pierce through your heart." What he means is this: to offer, if it is a real offering, is to be willing to suffer. As the prophet David, the king, said, "I will not offer to God that which costs me nothing." If we are truly to offer what we love to God, there will be an element of sacrifice there, and of suffering. And that is what the Holy Virgin experienced when she saw her Son crucified, when she stood at the foot of the cross and watched him die. Then she knew a deep sorrow. A sword did indeed pierce her heart. The prophecy of Simeon was indeed fulfilled. But then the cross was followed by the resurrection. She had the great joy of receiving her Son back again, risen from the dead. So may this be true of the life of you and me. Let us learn to be thankful. Let us learn to offer back to God and to our fellow humans all the gifts that we have received. Let us learn to be Eucharistic animals. Then, yes, we shall have to suffer, but we shall also gain a joy that we could never have in any other way. The blessing of the Lord be upon you by his divine grace and love for mankind, always, now and forever, and to the ages of ages.
Amen.